start our painting. Let's go. Let's see. Here in the doing a little dark clear. Let's go like this. All right. Painting essential. Let's go. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. 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 Bop ba bop ba bop bop ba da bop 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 ba da bop ba bop 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 ba da bop ba da ba da bop 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 bop. Let's see, 18 by 24. The stream, boom, boom, done. Vertical, save, and let's go ahead and get started here. Oops, that's not what I want. There we go, go live. Okay, without further ado, let's collect it. Here we go. I want a little bit more of the scene here, so I'm gonna get a little bit closer. I want a little bit more of the scene this time. A bit more close up of the our painting. So here we go. All right, I think this is a good angle, right? Maybe a little. I don't want to move too far from the painting. It's hard because I have so many things that I use, and I don't want to move too far from the painting. But I also have to show some of the stuff that's in that that I'm working with. So we're gonna get started here. This is a painting of Madame Y. Madame Y is a anonymous figure, currently anonymous, and we will keep her name private for now, unless I have a discussion with her and she decides that she wants to present her name. But here we go. We're going to take, so this is actually a little irrelevant. I use this as a cat repellent. It is a container of vinegar and orange peel. And the reason why I have this is because if you're going to paint around animals, if your animals love you, they want to be with you. And if your pets love you, they want to be with you. And sadly, if you're going to use oil paint, you have to be considerate of that. And they usually like to climb up on a table right next to me. So I have to spray this in my area, my vicinity, so that, they don't come around as often. So that's what this spray is for. This isn't for paint. This is just some vinegar. I don't spray it on them, but I do spray it around the area where they usually try to come, or where my paint tends to kind of drip down. And it's not the paint itself that's usually bad. It's the pigments that are in them, right? So and there's a lot of non-toxic oil paints now, which is great. You can look for those. But I still tend to use certain oil paints that have the metals in them and such. So just something to consider. I just spray this around, and it's just vinegar and orange peel, which supposedly cats don't like. And you know what? I will say it does a good job of keeping them away. And what's great is vinegar is a good clean. You can actually use vinegar to clean your home, so that's pretty cool too. And honestly, it's starting to. I wonder if the orange peel in here is starting to ferment, because it's starting to smell kind of sweet. I wonder if that happens, right? Like when you mix vinegar with other things, if it ferments. I don't know. that could be something that I have to look into. But anyway, I just spray this in my area to keep my cats away. So this is not a painting supply, but something to consider. And of course, as we get started here, I'm going to share one of my favorite brushes. Actually, you know what? Let me open up my palette here. So this is a Masterson sealable palette. I close it every single day because if you use oil paint, you know, oil paint stays wet long enough that if you were to close it, you could get an extra time. You get some extra time with your oil paints, which is great because it makes it last like anywhere between 2 days to like 2 weeks longer. I've had some oil paints that I've had it closed and it only lasted like 2 days. And I've had some oil paints that it lasts like 2 or 3 weeks. So it all depends on the type of oil paints that you use. But I really love it because it helps me to store it. And I paint pretty often. But what's up, Strawberry? Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So I paint pretty often. But every once in a while, you know, it's like the one day when I don't close it properly that I don't paint for like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 days and all the paint goes dry. Because although people say oil paint takes a long time to dry, it doesn't. In some cases, right? It all depends on how much oil paint you use or the surface. But there's ways to make your oil paint dry faster. Such as what I'm going back here for now. I'm popping open my cleaning supplies back here. So there's 2 things to use for cleaning supplies that are pretty necessary. It is definitely this. This is a container of mineral spirit. I use Tuscan pine now. So mineral spirits in here. And you just definitely want a steel sealable container because it is very harsh. I think it will eat away at plastic if you have a plastic one, so you can't really put mineral spirits in plastic. And then this is just for oil and has a coil in it. So I put oil in here. And then, you know, I rinse them out every now and then. But, and then I change up the oil, which reminds me, I probably should add more oil soon. But let's just get started painting. I love painting. Who here loves painting? If you haven't gotten into painting, I highly recommend it. It's probably, it's an amazing hobby once you start to get into it. And then after you build it into a hobby, you can actually get pretty professional pretty quick. It's actually surprising how quickly you can start to become professional. And by the way, when I say professional, I mean, you know, actually selling prints, getting commissions, all those great things. And you know, I will say sometimes, you know, I admit some months I am a professional, aka if the only judgment of a professional artist is whether they're getting paid or not. Admittedly, some months I am a professional artist and some months I am an amateur artist. So it all depends, but at the soul of it, at the heart of it all, I'm definitely an artist, regardless of what the adjective to that is. So, and I think that's what we can all at least aim to achieve. And there we have it. So that is my motivational idea for the day, right? That's the inspiration for the day is no matter what, whether you're getting paid or not, I think the most powerful thing is to have the art spirit, right? The artist spirit, without getting too spiritual, or the art spirit. That's a great book, by the way, by Robert Henry. Love that book, The Art Spirit. Highly recommend it. I listened to it on Audible, so I highly recommend it on Audible. Which, speaking of, I need to update this. Let me see. Can I actually? No, I can't go to my YouTube channel. Anyway, I can't add that. Come on now. All right, well, I can't add a comment. I can't comment in my own live stream. All right, well, whatever. Let's just keep painting this. So I'm really looking to spend some more time on some of the highlights of this painting. I want to spend some time on some highlights of this scarf here. It's like a golden silk scarf. I don't know exactly what it's made out of. It looks really shiny. It's really shiny, like silk. So very shiny. Let me get some more white. By the way, I don't have it with me now, but I just found the most amazing thing. 2 big tubes of, this is a Gamblin 1980 white I'm about to use. Titanium white by Gamblin. Gamblin 1980, pretty great brand. Gamblin has a couple versions of their brands, of their paint. And I think their 1980 brand is a great entry-level professional paint. And when I say entry-level professional, I mean, you know, it's great quality, but they do have a couple different versions, right? There's this 1980, Gamblin 1980, and then Gamblin, just Gamblin Artist Oil Colors. And they're a bit different. They're sold differently. But I think Gamblin 1980, which is fairly easy to find, you can find it pretty conveniently all over the place. So I like Gamblin 1980 very much so. I like Gamblin 1980. It's a great brand. Also, another brand that I use quite often. Well, I have a bunch of brands that I use, but I have a lot of different brands that I use. Right now, I'm just mixing the Gamblin 1980 white with our into some of the yellower areas so that we can capture like the highlights of this fabric, which is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it's silk or like, I don't know if it's like a silk fabric or if it's whatever. I'm not an expert on fabrics. I don't know too much about fabric, but it seems to be a very shiny fabric, as a glossy fabric, as opposed to a matte. So actually, you know, I don't think silk gets very shiny. So maybe this is not silk. This is something else. Does silk get shiny? I guess it does. I don't know. But what am I using? This is one of my favorite brushes. I plan to get a bunch more. But this is, so I finally figured out the name of this. Those of you that have watched my previous streams. This is not a Princeton Aspen. This is a Princeton Catalyst brush. Polytip Catalyst brush. And you can tell the difference. It has the blue tip, the black tip. The Princeton Aspen brushes. The Princeton Aspen brushes are usually blue, and I think, I don't know if this is a Princeton Aspen, but Princeton Aspen brushes are usually blue. The Princeton Synthetic Fiber Polytip Catalyst. This brush I absolutely love. And you know what? I only love this version of it. I have the other polytips. I think they're a little too stiff, personally. They're a little too stiff. I like the stiffness of the round pointed ones, but not so much the stiffness of the flat ones. I'm sure there's a purpose for it. Oh wait, these are the Princeton Aspen. Let's see. Princeton, oh yeah, this is the Princeton Aspen. So it actually comes with a black handle with a blue line. Princeton Aspens are pretty good, but my favorite so far is the Princeton Catalyst. Let's see. So let's just go with that. I like the Catalyst. I think it lasts a long time too because it's synthetic, so it's like, you know, heavy duty. You can be rough with it. But here we go. Some of the things I want to do is I want to tighten up the details around on this side. So let me see how I can tighten up some of the details here. Add a highlight coming down. I really want to make this section detailed here. Detailed with highlight. Give it this extra fabric look. And I'm not like an expert on painting fabric, but what I've found that the best way to like figure it out, the easiest way to understand fabric is just be confident and I know that's a funny thing to say, just being confident. Just being confident with like, with finding the separation between light, how light reflects on a surface, and just working with folds. I think that's really the secret. And I have yet to perfect it, but I think, I think the level of intimidation that people have with painting fabrics doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be so intimidating. Because it really is just the interaction of like light on a surface, just like painting someone's face, right? So Izraya, what is up, Izraya? Izraya going higher with Izraya. That is our theme song for Izraya, the artist currently known as Izraya. Get some theme songs going. So I live stream. So those of you watching my live stream elsewhere, it's interesting because I live stream on YouTube now too. So I live stream on Amazon now too, as a creator for Amazon. And those of you that are watching my YouTube channels, you might notice a little bit of a change in format. But if you're watching from Amazon, you're probably confused, like, who is he talking to? Who's this Izraya fella? Who's this Izraya character that he's singing a song for? So that's who she is. She's on my YouTube stream. That's why we're talking about Izraya. All right. So let me see about this fabric. I think we're in a good place with the fabric. Got good highlights. It looks pretty cool. Interesting. Let's go. I just want to tighten up a couple details right into here. Let's see, just a couple of details that give it like this extra pop. So theme song, you love it. Yes, theme song for Izraya. Izraya is here. All right, so we're gonna come into here and we're actually gonna add the highlight into this part. I need to get myself more of these poly tip brushes. Note to self. So I have two of my favorite brushes are really just round brushes. And I want to get a couple different versions of these. I just didn't know, honestly, I just didn't know that Aspen and Princeton sold these individually. But my favorite brushes, my two favorite brushes are really just round brushes. And let me show you, where is it? Where's my other favorite brush? This one's been ruined because I've used it so roughly so much. And when I first got it, I didn't really know how to clean these brushes properly, so it's gotten a little stuck. But these are my two favorite brushes. And these are my two favorite brushes, and they're both just round brushes. This is a Princeton Polytip Catalyst brush, and this is a Rosemary Co Series 272. And the difference, when you start painting, you'll know the difference, is that this is a synthetic brush. The fibers are somewhere in between a rough hog hair and like a nice soft bristle. I love the fact that this is like in the middle of being a rough brush and a overly soft brush. This brush is actually made of a, let's get a little closer here. I don't know if you can see the qualities. It might be a little tough. But this brush is a Rosemary Co Series 272. It's made of badger hair. And badger hair is great for picking up paint and laying it down. It picks up a lot of paint, and it survives. It can survive oil paint. Oil paint is very rough. It is very harsh on your supplies. So that's something to consider. And when you do those considerations, you just gotta, it just helps to know like what materials you're gonna need. Because when oil paint is rough, you can't use watercolor brush for oil paint because that watercolor brush will be destroyed literally the night that you use the watercolor brush. The next day it probably won't work. So that's one thing when you're purchasing brushes on Amazon, it really is important. And even from the stores, anywhere. If you're purchasing brushes from anywhere, it really is important. Not so much the quality. Of course it's quality, right? But not so much like the value of the brush as much as it is what it's for. So there's some brands that I've seen that will say, oh, this brush you could use for watercolor, acrylic, gouache, and oil paint. And that's just like impossible. I think that's pretty much impossible. Like, unless it's just an oil paint brush. And I just have not had a good brush that claims to be an oil paint, watercolor, and acrylic brush that lasts a long time. So that's where it's important to know your brushes. It's not that, like, you know, and there's a lot of different brushes, but that's really where it really comes in handy to know and experiment with different brushes. And you know what? Sometimes if you're using a brush that's made for watercolor, it's very delicate. You know, it might last, but oil paint brushes are just are unique, and you just can't, you know, they're just brush. Not all brushes are made the same. That's just how it is. That's all I could say. Nothing else to say there besides not all brushes are made the same. For different subject matters. So here we go. We're gonna add some extra detail right into there. We're gonna come right into here, and let's use this color to go over this brown so that, you know, we have like a slightly lighter shadow onto the surface here. And let's go like this to reduce the density of that line. And let's focus on this little knot. This knot is actually pretty important because I feel like the knot establishes like all the area around it. And honestly, you know what? Let me just add a couple of. This knot is actually quite important because I feel like if you can get the knot right, like right in the center there, if you get the knot right, everything else will pretty much, like, you know, people will like see the knot and then they'll look at everything else and they'll be like, oh, I you know, this is how it all ties together, right? So I definitely think that's important with painting. You know, there's some artists that will highly detail every single detail, and that's the types of artists they are, and you know, that's their personality, that's their style, and that's fantastic. But you know, if you want to be an artist, if you're painting and you don't necessarily want to be that super detailed, I highly recommend, don't take my word on this, but go look at art. Go look at art from classical artists, some of the greatest artists who ever lived, and you'll see, and don't take my word on this, go get a ticket to your museum, to your local museum, and see for yourself, actually like study what other artists, you know, one of the most exciting things I find is looking at really successful artists' artwork and just up close and just seeing the details that they choose to put or not put. And I find that so fascinating because, you know, there are some artists that put tremendous amounts of detail, and then there are some artists who, like, you know, leave so much out and just give your imagination an opportunity, you know, give the viewer an opportunity to use their imagination. And I think that's wonderful too, when, you know, you can give someone the opportunity. This is what one of my mentors, how they put it, right? Let people use their imagination. You know, your mind, the viewer's mind, you don't have to handhold people through everything, right? Some people love the idea of filling in the blank and, like, you know, just looking at this as one big headpiece and realizing that, like, oh, it's a headpiece, I get it, right? But then, you know, there are some people that will be totally impressed by every single little detail, and they will be fascinated, and, you know, they'll consider you the greatest artist who ever lived simply because you put so much detail. I'm sure there's people like that. And that's a little too dark of a shadow, but that's okay. Let's add this into her hair, because her hair really is her hair is a dark color. So we're gonna add that right into there. Let's see if we can put in some of the shadow a little bit. But I need to take that down. It's a little too dark. Let's clean off our brush. So what I'm doing right here, so this is what's great about this easel. What's up, Wolf? So here's what's great about this easel is if you live in a, you can pretty much see the entirety of my apartment here, my studio apartment. It goes, that's it. I mean, of course I have a couple, there's another room, but you know, that's the space. There's a couple cats there, you know, there's enough space for a couple cats. And I'm very grateful for the space. I love this space. It's an amazing apartment. But if you're living in smaller conditions, such as like if you're in Los Angeles or New York, and you know and in general spaces out here are much smaller. The thing is you know, you need to be able to maximize your space, and one of the ways to do that is just to find a condensed way to paint. So this is an easel. It stores my cleaning supplies back here. Got all my cleaning supplies back here. I got my brushes on this side. Got my paints right behind me, and I could just work. Now I stand up and work, and I almost can't. This setup, I almost can't just sit down and work, because I have to constantly go back and forth to clean my brush, get my paint. If I was sitting down and working, I would probably, you know, have a different setup. If I was sitting down and working, I would probably have, like, you know, some stuff to the left of me, some stuff to the right of me. But I'm constantly, you know, stepping back and forth with my painting supplies to keep up with what I'm seeing. So we're gonna go like this, and let's add some shadow right there. And honestly, I think I could add a little bit more of this shadow. Just add a little bit more of this shadow here. Let's see how we can work this in. So we're gonna come down right into here. And I think I have to make this look more precise, you know, like more angular. So some of this has gotten a bit messy here. And here we go, I'm gonna bring that in. I don't want to overwork this. It's just I'm not a fabric painter. But let's just see how we can, you know, loosen this up a little bit. All right, we're getting somewhere. Here's the funny thing though, when I see it here, sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, it looks okay. And then I see it on camera and it looks better because everything's condensed on camera. Everything's like much smaller on camera. Yo, what's up, Omizu? How you doing today? We're going for a paint-a-thon today. I don't know how long I'm going to paint for, but I'm aiming for a long painting session. That's my goal. We're going to have a long painting session today. Maybe it might be multiple sessions. I usually say like, oh, I'm going to be painting for X, Y, and Z length of time, but I kind of missed the mark on that. You know what I'm seeing though? I want to add some red into this. I'm seeing hints of red that could probably be added into here. So maybe like right here, we're going to go a little bit of red into here, some alternatives. And some red here, and we're going to come down into here. Let's try to find a couple other areas of like this little red highlights. Just like right here. Like something about when I paint is there comes a time when I've been looking at an image for so long and just like looking at just seeing it that I start to see different colors. And I know that sounds funny, but I just start to like see colors. Like these colors that weren't there suddenly start to appear. And maybe I sound crazy. That's okay with me. I don't mind sounding a little crazy. I start to imagine things when I see a painting for long enough. I start to imagine things. Maybe I can add some red into the shadow to give it some more pop. I like this red combo, but I want to keep it subtle. I don't want to go overboard with it because it could start to take away. I just want to add a couple pops of red here. Is that working? I don't know. I don't know if that actually works. I definitely don't like this one. So we're gonna blend that down. We're gonna try to pull down the redness of it and blend it down. We're gonna take some of the white, cover it with some of our yellow. But I do like how it adds like a variety of shadow here. Or adds a variety of like tone to our painting. So that was good. That's good. I think that's okay. I just don't like that it seems like a random red. Is this working? I don't know. Let's go. Let's bring in the yellow here. Yellow down. Put some yellow ochre in. So Omizu working on his masterwork, his masterpiece of a project. Love it. Amazing. Greatest artist on YouTube. Omizu paints. At some time. Not every day, not all the time, just when he's online and no one else is there as well. No one else is streaming. Honestly, I'm gonna say like YouTube makes it really hard to find artists that are live streaming, because I've tried looking it up and like it blows my mind. It's just mind blowing to me that sometimes I can't, when I look up like live streaming painting artists, is either none or like I have to like search really hard to find them. And that's not okay. They should be the greatest search engine there is. But here we go. So I like the reds. I don't know about this little section, but we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave this. And let's start working on her face. So there's a couple details that I noticed. I think that this part is a little bit, kind of disappears a little bit too roughly. It's kind of rough. This part, or not rough. What's the best word for it? Like, it's kind of just like carved, right? It's just like this straight carved line. It doesn't look natural compared to everything else. So here's the problem with painting on different days. If you're not like perfect with keeping your colors together, you can have issues. Like the one I'm about to share, I need to match the color of this cheek, otherwise, you know, it's gonna look weird. So I got to figure out like or at least get the right value. And this value is complicated because the area right underneath the jaw needs to be darker than the area of her jaw. So I'm just gonna do a little test color right here. Let's see right here. There we go. Actually, you know what? That's a good color. So we're gonna try to find a way to. That's good. Okay. So I just want to find a way to soften her feature here. This jaw is a little bit too. I want to soften. Just soften this jaw area. Feel looking a little better, a little bit more natural, maybe. All right, it's a little bit more natural. Let me try to find some of these highlights into the eyebrows. You know what? We can actually. The eyebrows are okay. I don't want to add more color than necessary. I think we've got some good details, color details on the face that capture all of this pretty well. And I don't want to. Still think there's a little more that could be done, but you know, it's a fine. There's a delicate. There needs to be like a delicate touch, which, you know, when I start a painting, I paint like a madman. Oh, Musa, I'm using one of your words. When I start a painting, I usually paint like a madman. But definitely as I start to get into more details, you know, I need to like pull myself back a little bit sometimes. Let's go. Let's grab a little bit of red here. I think it helps to get a little bit of red into the cheeks. Yellow. Let's play some yellow into this. Let's see, get some. And then there needs to be a little bit of a blend there. A little bit of a blend to like make this look more natural here. Let's find this color. And let's see how we can actually, you know, add this to this side here. We're gonna bring down this purple as well. Try to keep this area purple. I like how the purple, like, you know, pulls in the color from around the area. And I need to make this area a little bit brighter. And something I've been avoiding that I should probably try and tackle is the lips. I've definitely been avoiding the lip a little bit because everything else looks good. But it's one of those things where, you know, I feel like it could, if I mess up the lips or whatever, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna have some issues. So I want to make this cheek look a little bit more round. Honestly, this could go up a little bit further. Maybe soften this area just a bit. My current struggles, I'm thinking, how do I, you know, I don't want this to be such a hard transition, and it looks like a hard transition. What do I mean by a hard transition? Like when you're painting a face, you know, and like there's like the cheek is a round thing. Everybody knows that, right? Everyone knows that the area around your cheek is round. It's like curved. And with this, the way that I'm like using this image, you know, there's a sense that right here it kind of just like cuts off. So, you know, I got to find a good balance between softening, and I don't mind the color contrast, the transitions of color here. I don't mind it. I actually like it, but I at least want to make it feel rounded and soft, like you know, like an actual face, as opposed to like a hard transition, like the plane on her face suddenly takes this drastic turn. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, and that's why I've reworked that area a couple times. But this area I think is okay. This area is okay in the highlight. Let's see. Constantly looking at it on camera. I think the eyes look good. Maybe add a little bit of shape onto that side of the eye. But let's see how I can probably go. Well, let's use some dark blues. Let's bring in some dark blues, ultramarine blues. We've already got some of these light blues. On camera, this might look like a white, but these are actually blues, like a very light blue. So I have an ultramarine blue, and I feel like ultramarine blue might be a good color to start to bring into our shadow, maybe. So right along where the eyebrows are, let's go into there. Crispen up the shadows, and then we're gonna go like this. And then we're gonna come around, and then let's go bring a line down right here. Just kind of create a little curve around her other eye. It's the subtle little curve. And then we're going to bring a little shadow around. She's smiling, so because she's smiling, there should be a little bit of a transition around the eye here. So let's see how we can actually create a separation here between the face. These are just some basic details, you know, nothing too... Just some super basic details, you know? Darken the area around the side of her face to create like a curve here. And then let's see, right around here. I think this side of the face is in the light, so I don't need to worry too much about. I don't need to worry too much, but I do want to. I don't want to do. No, this is looking good. I don't want to do too much more. Too much more. I will get into this at some point to add good detail. Actually, you know, I should do it now. Let me tighten up some of the detail here. Might be a little. I might be getting into overly detailed zone. But I feel like this is an important area. So let's go right under the eye. Bam, a nice little line under the eye. Bring up this transition and then follow it around. No, that actually works okay. That works okay. Gotta brush that area. And let's see, we're gonna add a highlight right there. Let's this nose is a little bit too straight right now. So just gonna round it out, getting some of finer detail to capture the curve of the nose. A little triangle right here, right? A little triangle of the nose. And let's go. What else can we do? Okay, so this is the part I'm avoiding, is the lip. I've been avoiding the lips and the mouth a little bit. And I'm thinking, how do I tackle that? And I think I just need to use a smaller brush and just get into the details. And then I got to get to the baby. The baby's still got so much work to do. So much work left on a baby. And honestly, I feel like the baby, babies are so funny. I've never painted a baby, or I think I painted like one baby before. And I've also painted many adults who look like babies, because when I first started learning how to draw, let me see if I can find a photo. Let's see, early sketchbook. Look how dusty one of my early sketchbooks are. I definitely don't keep them preserved. That's someone else's job. I'll leave it to someone who wants to copy my art 1,000 years from now. Wants to save and preserve my artwork. So I'm flipping through this. I'm trying to find some of my early head drawings, which I'm not finding any. Oh yeah, like here's one. Look at this guy's head. Like, it is so small compared to his body. This was before I, really figured out proportions and everything. His head is so small compared to his body. Like, that's why proportions come in handy. You don't really need to know anatomy. I know this is a controversial statement I'm about to make. You don't really need to know anatomy. You just need to know proportions. Like, you don't need to know that a nose is a nose. You just need to know that, when you look at a nose, that the shape of a nose, the length of a nose, regardless of what it is, it could be a stick on a face. If you don't know what a nose is, if you can see that the length of the nose and the shape, if you could draw the shapes and compare it to the size of a forehead or an eye or a mouth, you can draw that nose. You don't even need to know that a nose has nostrils, that, it's got cartilage, that it's got, these two shapes on the side. That stuff you could copy, you could see and observe. You don't need to know what they're called, but you do need to know, like, proportions. I'm looking for heads. Oh yeah, here's a head, like, right, the portion of this head is the portion of a baby's. It's like round. It hasn't fully grown yet. Let's see, those. I used to always draw like heads proportioned like baby heads. Let's see. 917. Yeah, look at all these heads, like, they're malformed. But I will give myself credit. When I was trying to draw these heads, I try to draw them from imagination. I was just making stuff up. And that's helpful. But, it is what it is. So I couldn't find like really good examples of me drawing adult heads like baby heads, but you get the idea. There's a lot of dust on this. Someone wants to buy that sketchbook it is on sale for $1.5 million. So starting price for that sketchbook is $1.5 million. $1.5 million. So there you go. $1.5 million. All right. I'm being serious, but I'm also like, you know, joking around a little bit. Can you joke and be serious at the same time? Is that a thing, or do I just say stuff and it, it doesn't make sense? Does that even make sense? I was joking and I'm being serious at the same time. So adding a subtle transition along the top of the eye there. There's just a subtle highlight on top of the eye, and I'm using blue for these highlights. I saw this beautiful painting of a what's his name? The guy that does the gold with the couple wrapped in whatever. I can't remember his name right now. Gustav Klimt. I saw a painting of Gustav Klimt where he was using blue on people's faces, and I was inspired to use blue as like a highlight color on people. So we're going to come across here. Let's see, there's a little bit of a highlight there. It doesn't need to be like that. Doesn't need to be that bright. We're going to come around here. Just going to blend this in with some of the red. Red stands out a little bit much. I just want it to kind of peek through. I don't want it to be totally dominating of the space. And then we're going to go... I like where this is at. I like how she appears here. I'm going to go down a little further with this. This blue, bring this down a little bit, some of this highlight. And then now I want to blend this in with a little bit of a purple. Hey.
Hi, I brought you a lunch.
Wow, you brought me a lunch? Oh my goodness, thank you. Everybody, how lucky am I? My girl has brought me a lunch. I'm the luckiest guy right now.
That looks great.
Thank you, man. So I'm mixing this with a hint of pink. I want to go a little darker with this. We're going to go a little bit of a lower value with this as far as color goes, and I just want to be able to capture some of the subtle colors underneath the eye rather than just leaving it as is, which includes hints of red and orange, hints of red, orange, subtle reds, orange, browns, all the colors, right? All the variety of colors. And it takes time to really see this. Like, I had one of the most interesting exercises that I did that helped me see like a wide variety of, the range of colors on any surface is when I looked at my own hair. My hair is pretty much jet black. But when I paint it and when you really look at the hair, you see strands of white, and not because they're white strands, but because the light reflects off the white. If you look at it long enough, I would say that I actually see some red. I see some red on it, hints of blue. And I might sound crazy if, you know, you've never done an exercise where you like look at hair and just stare at it long enough to see something different. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's crazy, but it's true. So so is it time to eat? Oh, okay. Let me you know what? We will take a break. I'm gonna leave the stream on, but I don't know if I should leave the stream on because I'm absent. Because I don't want to have to restart it. That's the thing about streaming is like once you go, you're kind of like committed because you don't want to like. So this is a really subtle like curve there, really subtle shadow. Really subtle shadow around the other side of the nose there. I come around here and bring in this right around the lip. I'm gonna struggle with the lip. I'm avoiding the lips because there's just like, there's a lot to it. A lot to these lips here. Making the lips blue. You know what? Maybe the detail that I really just need is the teeth. Let me see if I can pop a couple teeth in here.
Pop a couple teeth.
Yeah, just add a couple teeth, you know. She has teeth, but they're very subtly, you know, they're very subtle. They're not overly bright. So she's smiling. We're gonna go. You know, I can't. To be honest, now I can't tell if they're teeth or whether it's her lip. And teeth can be hard to paint because you don't want to over detail teeth. Unless, so this is something I learned from one of my mentors. AKA, I'll share a book with you. I call him a mentor. I pretty much call everyone a mentor that I've ever read a book about or studied or whatever. I think that there's a mental connection there if you've ever studied anyone's work. But when I say mentor, I mean Andy Loomis. So Andy Loomis, he has a lot of books that teach you great things about drawing, illustration. I don't know if he has a painting book specifically on painting, but he was a brilliant painter. And what he taught, this is an Andy Loomis book. I have like pretty much all of his books, even though I haven't gone through all of them in full. I got the most out of his drawing lessons, but not so much his like color and painting lessons. But when I say mentor, I mean Andy Loomis because I've read his books. I'll call him a mentor. What was I gonna say? Can someone remind me what I was in the process of saying? Let me walk this back and try to remember. So according to Andy Loomis, according to Andy Loomis, who's one of the greatest professional illustrators of all time in the entire universe, of the known universe, he says that, you know, don't try to draw teeth, or don't try to paint teeth. Like if you do, use the least amount of detail you possibly can, because pretty much every professional illustrator that he knows, you know, drawing teeth is really hard because of these subtle gaps, and if you add too many lines, they just look too separate or too big. So, you know, pretty much his advice was do the least amount of detail you possibly can to show teeth. And you know what? Based on my observation, I agree. There's very few people on the entire planet that can draw really good teeth. And that's just the way it is. If you want to be a great tooth painter, that's great. But I don't really have that desire, so. So that's my goal with this, to just keep it really subtle. I don't, trying to think of how much detail I want to add. So even this, I'm like, ugh, it's probably too much detail. But anyway. Anyways, let's go ahead and work on the baby. Let's work on the baby. So right here, actually, just a little bit. You can bring the shadow down just a little bit. That's cool. Yeah, I like that reflection here. I like this reflection. Maybe add a little bit up here. In the same shade. Or the same value. And we'll tighten up these teeth a little bit, but not right now. Let me add a bit of a highlight on top of the nose. I think we're reaching a point where we're almost done, and either I'm going to keep it like this, or I'm just going to totally like make a lot of like transformative touches. I don't know, I tend to do that. Like once I finish it, once I feel like I've reached a painting where I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like a good painting, I kind of like just switch it up. I sometimes like switch it up. I just make something that looks totally different. So there we go. Okay, let's get some detail into the baby. So where does the baby need some work? All right, let's go like this. We're going to start with our pink here. Let's just try to find, I think there's so much detail in this ear. It's a little unusual. Not too much detail here. It's too crisp compared to everything else, huh? What do we think? I'm gonna get some brown, purple into him, some very super light hint of purple. Into her. It's a girl baby. Baby is a girl. And let's see here. We're gonna round this. This area is a little rounded out enough. So let's try to blend some white. Some of this like white pink to the arm here. So what I got to do with the baby now, pretty much, is I got to the toddler. I guess it's the toddler, right? It's not a baby. Is I pretty much have to like try to give it the same, the same level of detail as the mom. And I haven't really detailed the arms, but I want to at least, capture the same level of like highlight and like color variety that I'm seeing on the mom figure. Let's see, this will come around and we're going to go around like so. Come across. Just start to blend this out. Maybe add a little bit more pink into this. Increase the pinkness. And then let's round this out here. So we're going to go just blending it down as we bring out the shape of the baby's arm. So here we go. We're going to come down. And then bring this up. Create like the subtle little transitions in the arm. And then on this side, I think we pretty much do the same thing, but I gotta find like just want to find like the right amount of light. So I'm gonna go for a little bit of a crisscross method here. So I actually picked up this method from an artist on Instagram. Can't remember his name right now, sadly. But basically what he does, if I can figure out his name. But basically what he does is he creates these beautiful, beautiful paintings. And the way he does it is he uses a really, really, really fine detail brush, like a really small brush. And I'm not using technique right because I'm not using a small brush. But he uses a really, 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 really small brush and gets all up into the figure and just like does a continuous, like nice little crisscross the whole way down. Does this crisscross motion. Does like a little crisscross motion just all the way down. And I think this creates a lot of texture on the surface and like a wispiness and a softness that is a little bit hard to capture if you're just like if you don't make the effort to put that detail and you just paint it really flat, you kind of lose that subtle detail of like, the color of flesh. Which basically, the color of flesh is a lot of different colors. There's green, there's yellow, there's blue, there's all these different colors that you can totally miss if you're not like if you're just painting really flat. So that's my goal with this baby here, is trying to find these like subtle color transitions of the baby. And you can really only see the this like detail when you get like really close. Let's see if we can add a Let's try to find some dark reds here, some deeper reds. I'm gonna try to find some deeper reds. This is a baby. They're a baby. So, how many times am I gonna say that's a baby? Do I need to make that announcement? Everybody knows it's a baby, right? It doesn't look like not a baby, right? Now, what would be funny is if this looked nothing like a baby, like if it was like an alligator, and that would be fun, but it's not. So, you know, just going for these really subtle like transition around its arm. I think if I was to paint the baby, you know, babies have like all sorts of little areas of fat and like, you know, growing into their skin that I think it's important to capture a little bit more of like that funkiness. So let's go like this, that softness and that transition. I think this side kind of got it a little bit. And then here we go. Let's go around here. And we're going to go with the yellow ochre. I think the yellow ochre is a little too... The yellow ochre is a little too yellow. I need to find this like... There we go, like a soft fleshy tone. And here we go. So, I'm going to come around here. That little elbow. Got that cute little elbow crease there. Does that look good on camera? I don't know. I can't tell if it looks like it's supposed to be there, if it looks kind of awkward with this other arm. But that's what I'm seeing, so just trust my judgment. That's one thing about art, is it really gets you to trust your visual judgment. If you want to like paint in a way that like looks more realistic. And so here, I'm going to grab a book in a second. Should have stayed consistent with my crisscrossing because now it's kind of losing the crisscross effect, which, you know, if you look at the crisscross effect, if you look at the brushwork up here, it looks totally different. There's like a, you know, it has like this appearance of like, this like bodily appearance of, it's like how, you know, parts of the body, or how like flesh appears on the human body. And let's go like this. So I said earlier, I said I was going to show a book. I'll show that in a second. I want to blend in this white around. I want to make it look more, you know, give this baby more of a curve, you know, more shape and curve around his arms. This is going to look kind of weird. All right, hold on, let me grab a book for everybody that I find really helpful compared to what I was just saying. Drawing on the right side of the brain. So it used to have like a dust cover, but this one doesn't. So this book is called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards, I think is her name. Now I didn't get very far in this book before I found, you know, as much information as I need. Now I'm not saying I know everything, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. But you know, there's a point when this book kind of just becomes lots of different exercises. And you know, some of the exercises are very unique, and some of them are ones that you might have not heard of before. But, oh yeah, good reminder. All right, but here's a great exercise. I'm gonna pull it from Betty Edwards. And to refer to, you know, really trusting your judgment, your intuition when you're drawing or painting as an artist is this idea. So there's this exercise in here. If I ever get to it, or maybe I never get to it. Ah, here we go. There's this exercise in here where you're supposed to draw, and there's lots of exercises, lots of great exercises in this book. But there's this exercise in here, so you can see the book is right side up right now. But there's this exercise in here where you're supposed to draw this Picasso drawing. You're supposed to take this drawing of that Picasso made and draw it while it's upside down. And the whole idea is really, and then, you know, the true test of your ability is seeing if it looks like it when you draw it, when you turn it upside up. And the thing of that is, you know, as she explains it, I don't want to explain her book to anybody, or too much of her book to anybody, because, you know, it's worth reading for yourself and purchasing for yourself and all that. But basically, you know, it gets you out of your head. It really pushes you to see something for what it is, rather than seeing what you think is supposed to be there, right? So if you draw it right side up, you're going to think, oh, that's an eye. Those are glasses. It should look like this. His hair should look like this, or his ear need to be this way, and his lips need to look like that. And, you know, the shoulders and everything, the shoulder needs to look like this, and the shoulder should be like that, and this looks kind of weird, so I'm going to change it. But when you turn it upside down, your mind has to kind of get rid of those thoughts, all these thoughts that prevent you from getting to where you want to be. And, you know, just frees you up to just copy. But anyway, great book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. Highly recommend it. And you know what? We're going to take a little break here. If you're on my Amazon stream, I'm actually going to turn this off because we're going to take a little break. But if you're on my YouTube stream, I'll be back in like, take care, Amazon. I'll be back in maybe like 20 minutes, because I am so lucky that my girlfriend brought me lunch, and I should eat it while it's hot. So let's go ahead, and my girl brought me lunch. Will you be here? Will you be here when I get back? Here's my question. Will you be here when I get back? That's our question of the day. And I'm going to say 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So it's 27, so 1:30 p.m. 30 p.m. PST. That's our question. Start Q&A. When I get back, we're going to start that Q&A. Let's mute this. We'll be back in Oh, yeah?
Or of Alameda and Williamsburg.
Okay, and we're back. We are back. We are back and live. Living and live and living. Living the live. Living the live and the live. Living the life and the life. Living. Living the live. Living the live and the life. Living the life and the life. What did I even say? I don't know.
Wait. That doesn't get up for reading.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and restart our other live stream here. Need a few moments for that. Yeah. Just to limit the airflow because of the air conditioning.
My glasses?
I don't know. I do not see them. Add to stream. 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 Here we go. Here we go. Streaming. We be streaming. Streaming. Vertical, save, on the image, check, and all right, here we go. We're gonna get started here. This is really weird because apparently Omizu's been chatting. People on my live stream have been chatting, but for whatever reason, I'm not seeing the chats or something. I think I'm not seeing the chats. They're not. I'm not seeing any new chats or conversations. So, whew. All right, I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure. If you're in the live stream right now, you want to help me see if the chat is working, please feel free to type something. Because I might not be able to see what you're saying. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Putting on some gloves. Gloves are really important when working with oil paints. Not because of the fact that you don't want to get paint on your hands or whatever, but oil paint, depending on the types of oil paints you use, have pigments in them that can be bad for your hands. Add to that, oil is very messy. Add to that, if you paint with oil, you're probably also using a thinner, and that oil thinner, that paint thinner for oil paints can be very, let's say, it could be very rough. So anyway, that said, all those things together makes it helpful to have specific brushes, or makes sense to use oils, an oil-based, use an oil-based brush. I mean, what was I gonna say? To use gloves. All right, so we're gonna add some detail into the foot here. Let's go ahead and add like a little highlight to the top of the toe. Top of the toe here, little baby toe. And then we'll go like this. And we're going to come around and we're going to add another little highlight to this other toe right here. Just want to add a little highlight there, a little round highlight for the toe. Another little, you know, the little baby toe. Really just like the little tips of the toes are going to be this bright. And then we're going to come around. Right there for another tip of the toe. It's actually more of like a triangle. So we're going to make that a bit more of a triangle. It's going to curve in just a little bit more. Maybe make these toes a little bigger. That toe a little bigger. And then it's going to come a little tip of a toe right there. And then we're going to go with a highlight. Let's go with a highlight right on the inside of these toes right here. So we're going to have the highlight along the inside. And then another highlight along this other part right here. It's got to be bright enough that it looks different in contrast from the other part of the toe. And we're even going to add some of this highlight to the top of the toe at some point, the tips of the toes, but for now, really just want to bring in the color, the full color of the foot. And then what we're going to do is let's see, let's bring in some darker shades of pink here, maybe a little bit of purple. This purple pink. We're going to come to the side of the foot and this top of the toe right here. Let me see, we're going to shape the foot a little better. And we're going to come in. I'm trying to let's find a better angle for this. So it's going to come in at an angle here. Bottom of the foot right there. And then I want to curve this up here. Curve this up. And then we're going to go bring this over. Pretty much going to create like a little rounded shape around the toes here. And then make like the toe just come straight across. So I think this will be a good foundation for the foot. And here we go. Let's build a little highlighted version of this. Just gonna build it on the inside of the foot here. A little lighter as far as color goes. It's going to come around like that. Let's go like this. Let's see how we need to create some more dimension along the side of these toes. So we're going to go with let's grab our blue, mix it in with our little brown, burnt umber here. gonna try to find some shadow right here. So we're gonna go. It's gonna be a lighter shadow, more of a yellow brown shadow. I'm gonna find the shadow right here. So we're gonna go. And actually, you know what? I see like the top of here. I think I want to reduce the. And let's see. Let's go. This foot. Maybe some yellow ochre mixed in and go. We're going to go down. It's not this. Let's go find that color again. Let's try to find these toe highlights now. Go baby toe here. And another highlight of a toe here. And then another highlight of a toe right here. Another highlight of a toe here. Another little baby toe highlight right here. And then what we can do is we highlight the inside of the foot here. Go. That. Let's go, let's bring some of this color down. Gonna make that toe the biggest toe. And let's go keep this going. Got some of the baby feet now. going to start softening up the face. That's the goal here. Let's go start adding just a little bit of highlight into the shadow there. And then no, that's not going to work. All right, let's go add some highlight right along the front of the lip and mouth here. So it's like a triangle, a little triangle here. Let's give this baby a little bit of a blush on her cheek. Give the blush. Let's give it this blush here. It's like pink, fleshy blush on the face. Even into here. And then bring in a little bit of this yellow ochre. We're actually going to bring this across the forehead right here. I don't know what this part of her head is, but it's got like this interesting like shape, almost like another eyebrow on top of her head, but it's not. I think it's just like I guess the way the forehead turns, that the way her forehead turns in this section just looks interesting. And then we're gonna give this baby some baby fat around her eyes. You know, this little chunky area of baby fat. And we're just gonna round this out. Let's find like a nice transition color. We're gonna add some purple around the front of the face for the shadow. So let's see, we're gonna go a little bit of purple around the front of the face. And then coming down into here, some of this purple here. Shadow going up the side. Let me see if I can tighten up the eyes on the baby. I'm going to use a brush. I'm going to use a thin brush here. We're just going to tighten up some of the details so that it can look more cohesive. I think that once we add some detail, there's certain details when you finally add them that it just makes everything just work. And one of those details is the eye. So I'm gonna go use like a really dark color here. Maybe even grab some of our blue to mix that in. And we're gonna go right into here. So we're gonna go. And this one, it's gonna be a little bit of an edge. Just the tiniest, ever so tiniest edge around the eyebrow. Let's try to find, I'm going to find a gray white here. I guess a gray white isn't a white, it's just a gray. Sometimes I say things, alright? Just bear with me. So we're going to go with the gray here. Bring in a little bit more white. Honestly, being that the eye is round, I'm gonna have to kind of looks weird. Looks weird. What do I have to do to make it look good? I'll figure that out. Maybe I just have it so this baby has a bigger than usual eyeball, you know? It's okay. So here we go. We're gonna go paint in the skin tone around the eye. I think that's really gonna help tighten it up. So we're gonna go like this. This is such a distinct highlight.
Alright, I'm out of here.
You're out of here again?
Yeah, I'm good.
So get the nails done.
Not really, just one nail,
Alright.
2, 3.
Alright, cool. See you later, babe. Baby. See you later, baby. Alright. What about the side? My last painting received criticism because I made the eye too white. Or I made the whites of the eyes too white. This baby's eyes look so wide. Might have to work on. We'll work on it. baby's eyes are so wide. I'm gonna go. I need another brush for what I'm working on right now. Okay. Find this highlight color. Let's try and find this. And here we go. We're gonna go. My brushes have gotten really rough. I'm gonna go along the top of the lid right here, just create a nice round. Nice sharp lid like that. And then the rest of the eye is just going to come down like so. See where to go from here. All right, let's maybe focus on some shadows here. I don't want too dark of shadows, but I want to make some shadows between the body parts. So the you know, the folds and the arms and stuff. So like right here. It's not going to be black. It's going to be a really dark. Really dark shade of yellow or something. I'm going to go a little bit darker. I want to get some of the wrist lines here. then going between these two fingers, a little bit, have some shadow here. And shadow underneath. Let's go even darker. Into the creases we go. Into the keep. Into the keep, the creases. Creases of the arm. So right in here we're gonna have a cute little crease. And then let's see how we can manage to get these into our feet here. So you can do a little bit right there. The bottom of the toe here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so right there. I think what really separates what I'm noticing now, that I had this question quite often. I was like, well, you know, what really separates some paintings, the way they look, from, you know, what the professional artist might do? And I think it really comes down to like some of the hard blended edges, like this right here. You know, there's clearly, these toes are clearly not, you know, they would leave like these little like hard details of just these like really thick black outlines, rather than just finding a way to delicately blend them together a little bit. I think that's where the difference comes in between, you know, that artist that does a lot of paintings versus like a beginner artist who doesn't quite, you know, notice those things. Let's see, this is gonna come down right here. let's see. Here we go. Let's work some of this green space, some of the green areas. After we get this down, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. The feet. And I feel like my my YouTube channel, I don't know if there's still people here. It looks like there's people here, but I can't see the chats. I don't know what's going on. I can't see the YouTube chats. So if you're here, I think it's the last message I got was Omizu's "Hello, Emmett and friends." That was it, and I haven't seen any since. But the reason why I know I think there is conversation going is because I pulled it up for a second on my other phone, and it looked like there was conversations, but it's just not going right now. So let's go ahead and bring in some of this this green blue. We'll go ahead and bring in some of this green blue here. Grab our yellow. Grab our yellow. And let's like really improve. Close Instagram. Why does it keep trying to close Instagram? It's so weird. I want to add some really just like dense, saturated colors into this. And here we go. We're gonna go. Nice full color along this piece here. Come right down here, and this is going to be the underneath. go with a whitened version of this color. So we're going to grab our white. We're going to white it down. The lightened version of the color. And honestly, I feel like the dark green is a little too much, but I really just want to, it's a little bit too green. Oof, finding just the right combination of greens is a little challenging. "50 Shades of Green." That's what we could call this painting. The goal really is right now just to get the paint a little denser. So here we go. Let's see. We're gonna blend this in with that green. It's getting it nice and full. I wasn't able to before because the paint was really wet, and you know, when the paint gets really wet, sometimes it becomes really difficult to work with. But now I can lay down this like color to create a foundation for what we're trying to do here. And same goes for this side right now. We'll do that. And here we go, just gonna paint this across here. Continue building up this color. Grab some more yellow, put this in there. And I love a painting surface like when it is now, when the paint's dried up a little bit. It's not totally dry, but it creates this like just amazing and fun surface from which to work on. Actually, you know what, this could probably be a little bit bigger. Here we go, right in here, like right up to the necklace here. Let's try to find our space here, so we're going to bring this down. And right here. think just giving this thing a nice like flat color for now from which to build on. I think it'll be very helpful to me. Because before there was like all this color shining through, and there's all sorts of you know, it's a little bit of a messy placement of this color. I'm gonna make this nice and flat. There we go, like right here. Let's go around, go a little further with this. Get some nice, just get the shape, get the shape painted in here of this body. I don't know what it is. It's a wrap of some sort. I can't tell if it's like connected. No, they're not wearing the same one, but same color. Really good combination of colors. Pretty sure it's like a bandana, but you know what? I'm gonna continue the color into here. Go right up. Right up into this space. It's almost like I'm painting it over and just doing it all over again. And this, you know, I think this needs to go a little bit higher, this area. I like the green. I like the green where it's at. Let's go. Down into here. Now see if it's gonna come around. I don't even know like what's in here, but I'm just gonna draw what I see. Just trust that it will make sense. And where do we go from here? This is like a gap between where the baby's leg. This is a shadow. Maybe blend into the shadow just a little bit. Kind of gives it a look of a shadow, right? You know what? This dark green actually creates like this little foundation from which to create our multiple curves of this. You know what? I'm gonna. What's up, bro? Huh? What's up, kitty? Yeah, you got big yawns, huh? Big yawns, my boy. Talking to my cat. I want to see my cat. Yes. My cat. Look at him in his yawns. Look at him. He's grooming this guy. Yes, Scout. Where you going? Ah. He's like, you're annoying me, bro. Go, let me sleep. He's like, you're annoying me, man. Let me sleep here. Oh, he's coming up on a table. I don't want him getting my paint, so I gotta. Might take a break here in a few moments, but I do want to do a little bit of an update to the face. Let me get the rest of this green down real quick, though. I still have a lot of green left. I just want to get it off the brush and onto the canvas where it's supposed to be. And let's clean off the brush here. What do we need to do? I need to certain details on the face that are a little bit off. So what I need to do is I want to take some of this blue here, take some of this light blue, and I want to round out. I want to round out some part of the face here, like right here. You just bumped into my canvas or my camera. And then on this side, I can probably do a little bit of the same. No, there's not much highlight on that side. I like having this blue and white under the eye. And what I'm gonna do is right now, I want to make this transition better. So like the way your head is turned, this area is just not matching. It doesn't match very well. And I think what needs to happen really is that I need some more color in this area. So let's go with a little bit of a pink here. We'll go with a pink red. And let's see how we can, let's go with a pink red here. Pink red yellow, ochre, pink red, a little purple, pink red purple, pink red purple, reddish purple. All right, I think that's a good color that we got. Pinkish red purple. And let's try to find this. want to round out, you know, this cheek area a little bit. Because it's kind of flat. So this little section right here just isn't cutting it. So I want to add let's go with a little shadow on the face. How can I try to make something up here as we go? And then let's try to find a red to mix this with a little bit of red and try to bring the red down a little bit just to create this like curve around the eye here. Ever so subtle curve to just kind of bring it all together. Maybe I should bring this up a little. Yeah, you know what? I can bring this up a little bit. And I do want to bring some of this color into the eye. Some of these colors into the eyes. And we're going to go hints of red into the eye. Eye. Oh, and you know what? Ooh, this is such a subtle little detail, but here we go. Something here. I need to use a thinner brush for this. So these two brushes won't do it. I need to use a much more fine detail brush, which I have. Let's see, some of my finer details. I'm gonna use one of my finer brushes. This is a 0, pointed round 0. And we're gonna go grab this. Use a nice dark line to capture the eyelid. So there is an eyelid here. And let's get this eyelid in. I'm going to go with a very light pink tone. Try to find some of this red, pink. There we go. I made that pink. And here's something even more subtle. No, I think it needs the... Let's go, I need an even subtler color now for the, it's just a little bit of separation of light underneath. Where does that go? Let's see if we can find a way to blend the shape around the eye a little better. I can probably do it along this side too. Alright, I just used 2 filler words, one after the other, and said absolutely nothing. Alright, that's not good. That's not a good look when you're live streaming to billions of people. So what are we going to do? I'm going to go... I need to tighten up the shadow underneath the baby's neck. I've worked and reworked this a couple times, just haven't really found the right color combo for it yet. But whatever it is, looks like now it's kind of weird, so we're not gonna keep it at that. We're gonna keep it and try to go. And the neck should start behind the eyes. So this is coming up way too forward. There we go. Push this back a little bit. This is the neck. A little highlight here. I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna dab away at some paint here. It's a little area right. I want to keep this. I really like this deep shadow that we have for this eye on the right here. This left eye, this right eye. I really like the deep shadow. So I want to wipe away. The paint. This is if I use a brush to pull the paint off. All right, well, you know what? Let's go to our next one. Actually, you know what? We're taking a break. That's what I need. Need a break. Those of you that are here, thank you for being here. YouTube, I know that some of you are probably still here, and I feel like some people are chatting, but I can't see the chats for some reason. They're not appearing for me. I don't know what exactly happened. But thank you for being here, whether you're on Amazon or YouTube. But we are taking a pause now. We're going to take a little break. You know, we've got a lot of the major details. We've got, I love how the painting is looking. There's a lot of great parts. There's a lot of different differentiation in color and everything. Capturing a full range of color. Full range. And part of me is thinking that this is going a little too close to realism, like over realism. So, you know, I try to keep some of the details a little bit less, maybe like hyper realism, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the term would be, but yes, we're gonna take a break for now, at least for a little bit, and we'll be back later. Take care, everyone. Thanks for being here.